want to do about that. Joining me now, Jess McIntosh, spokesperson for Emily's List, which supports pro-choice female Democratic candidates and which has endorsed Hillary Clinton for president. MSNBC contributor Sam Seder, he's host of The Majority Report, and New York Times political reporter Nick Confessori. All right, it was a real wake-up moment last night. I don't know how many wake-up moments you need, because I do think there has been this entire time, like, it's not happening, it's not happening, it's not happening, it's not. Last night it was kind of this, I don't know why it was. Was it the margin of victory? Was it the fact that it's now 3 out of 4? Was it the fact that it's now 3 in a row? But it felt like this sort of epochal thing had happened. Justin Amash, who is a congressman, a sort of libertarian-leaning Republican congressman, said, "I believe we're witnessing the beginning of the end of the current two-party system in the United States." Does that scan to you?
Absolutely it does, actually. You know,
it does? It really does?
Well, no. I think it's possible that if Trump wins, that the Republican Party reconstitutes itself as a genuinely populist conservative party and not a weak marriage between populists and Wall Street and rich people. And that would be a fascinating thing in politics. It is possible.
Like, you could imagine a version of the Republican Party that just sort of embraces this kind of white identity politics, backlash politics, combined with skepticism towards trade, skepticism towards immigration, a desire for Social Security, expansion for the right-deserving people, that sort of thing.
Yes, a protection of entitlements for the right people, for the deserving middle class as they see it.
Like, in your head now.
Yeah, I think that's unlikely. I mean, just playing this out, I mean, if Trump becomes a nominee and loses, I think in a couple of years, we're back to exactly where we are now. The big money comes back in, fills the vacuum, and continues to exploit that sentiment that Trump, that goes towards Trump, continues to try and ride this sort of bull, as it were, and lose more and more control over it over time. But I don't know that there's going to be an infrastructure around that. I mean, other than, I think, like, sort of the cottage industries that seem to grow up around it now.
Jess, what's your take on this?
I think Nick could be right. I think that might be where the Republican Party is heading. I don't think that and the Republican Party being headed for oblivion are mutually exclusive. If they decide to take the tack where they are doubling down on being there for a small white male segment of the American population, that's not a sustainable tack for a national party to take. That will be the end of them. So I think we're seeing the fruit of a lot of labor on the part of Republicans. Like, honestly, I blame Lee Atwater for Donald Trump. Like, this has been going on forever, with Republicans deciding to pander to the grossest, most xenophobic, most misogynist element of their base. And after many decades of telling them that they mattered, guess what they do? And this is what they want. What they want is somebody who is not a part of the Republican Party. And, man, that's really got to smart for everybody who works really hard to make that a national party.
Yes. Let me just interject for a moment, which is to say that you talked about the sort of most xenophobic. I've been talking to a lot of Trump voters recently. I've been corresponding with some. And I just want to say that there are a broader group of people than you might initially think. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, which is not to say that the ideas that are being embraced or floated by him are not those things. They are 100% those things. But to me, part of it is a total breakdown in the signaling mechanism of the Republican Party. I mean, I had this point the other day where she said, a party literally exists to structure information. That's why a modern party, it signals people. It says, yes, that's our guy, that's not our guy. That's our gal, that's not our gal. This is broken down. They are unable to signal properly to their people to listen to their stamp of approval.
Right. Well, I mean, you can also see it in terms of institutions. I mean, you have the Koch brothers have a political apparatus that employs 3 times the amount of people as the Republican National Committee. I mean, so you have a situation here where there's just other institutions that are moving in. I mean, I'm not convinced that what Jess is saying is the future of the Republican Party. I think that's now. I think that we're going to realize in hindsight that this is where it's been heading, and we're there now, where they are not a national party. You cannot have someone win their primary and then turn towards the American public and be elected. Now, it doesn't mean that they can't control Congress, but I don't think that they're a national party. I don't think
I would just point out, that they control state houses in over 3/5 of the states. They control both houses of Congress. they sure seem like a national party to me.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's possible, frankly, for a Republican to win the presidency at this point.
Yeah, let's distinguish between a national party and a party that can win presidential elections, which is the ultimate prize, and also which involves 120 million voters casting their vote on the same day.
I think there's always going to be Republicans who are going to win in states and win in congressional seats, but I don't think that necessarily.
But this smacks of a certain kind of triumphalism that I think is a little that I'm not quite ready to buy into. I mean, there has been for a long time, I think, there has been an idea among liberals, Democrats, people in the center left, certainly political class of the Democrats, that Donald Trump will be a disaster. I mean, it was the inverse of what John Kasich said about Bernie Sanders, right? John Kasich at the debate says, if Bernie Sanders wins, we're winning 50 states. I'm not even going to... Like, there is a belief of that. I don't know if that, Jess, I mean, you're someone who has a lot of electoral experience. You know, you've been around races. Like, I don't know if that confidence is earned at this point.
No, I mean, I think it's terrifying to run against somebody as unstable as Donald Trump is, and there is no playbook for that. I think, you know, when Kasich made those comments, we have seen what happens with candidates in the mold of Bernie Sanders before. We have never seen what happens with candidates in the mold of Donald Trump before, because nobody like Donald Trump has ever been a nominee for president. So it's a little like running against a monkey with a gun. Like, yeah, you're a person, so you're probably going to beat the monkey, but the monkey's got a gun, and you have no idea what it's going to do with it. So I think any confidence that this is going to be easy by any stretch is definitely misplaced. That said, I think there could not possibly be a clearer and more compelling contrast between what Democrats are saying for America and what Hillary Clinton is saying about breaking down barriers and Donald Trump wanting to build walls. Like, that is a contrast that I am okay with entering into the general election.
Look, I would just say that I see it the opposite, right? I see the Republicans as a strong party and the Democrats as a party that can only win the White House.
Right.
And if they don't win it one year, that's it.
That's right.
Now, if you look at Trump, you think about what states can Trump win that Mitt Romney could not win. You think about the appeal that Trump has to union workers in the industrial Midwest, in places like Indiana and Ohio, other places like that. I think Democrats would be foolish to underestimate the appeal he could have in a national election.
Jack Carter and Ryan Grimm wrote a great piece in Huffington Post about that sort of Wisconsin, Ohio, Pennsylvania belt, essentially, and what that could mean for a national election. Before we get ahead of ourselves, let's just also consider the fact that mega donors have shied away from trying to, you talked about the Koch organization, no one's going to drop, you know, this is the empire, it's like this dude showed up outside the empire's walls, and people just resigned without firing a shot. They just decided, like, we're just going to get out of, okay, I'll get down from my throne and whine about it a little bit. Okay, I guess it's all yours. That guy said some mean things. It's like, hey, how feckless are you? If you actually care what you say you care about, and if you believe this guy stands for all the things you say you don't stand for, then put some money and some effort in trying to stop him. But there has not been that in any concerted way.
Well, but there has to be an alternative to him. There has to be a person that people are excited about supporting, and there isn't. That field was enormous and entirely a disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, Jeb Bush had $130, $50 million, and I think the problem was, I mean, if I'm a millionaire or a billionaire, maybe a billionaire, I'm a little looser with it, but I'm saying, he's got $120 million.
Right.
If that's not going to work, why is my 10 going to work?
That's right. Why throw good money after bad? All right. Jess McIntosh, Sam Cedar, Nick Compasori, thank you all. That was enlightening. All right, still to come.